We're back again. In this video, I'm going to present a review of all the paradigms associated with Ezra's eagle and the other paradigms I've talked about regarding the history of what some might call the greatest nation in the history of the world, the United States of America. In summary, Ezra described the fourth great beast of Daniel's dream as being an eagle with 3 heads and a combination of large and small feathers that would spread its wings and rule over the earth in the years preceding the coming of the Messiah. He says that after the nation is founded, it will face an existential crisis and will nearly fail, but will recover and continue on. The heads and the feathers represent the last 19 individual leaders of the country, as well as a few individuals who attempted to lead but were unable to take control of the country. He says that the second leader in this series of 19 will serve for a longer period of time than any other leader. As the middle of the time of these leaders approaches, 2 leaders will serve for shorter periods than the other leaders. And during the time of the 17th leader in the series, a roaring lion will be chased out of the woods and will speak to the eagle with the voice of a man, and upbraid and condemn the nation for all of its oppression of the people of the earth. The final 4 of these leaders will, like the 2 leaders mentioned a little earlier, serve for relatively short periods of time compared to 13 of the previous leaders, who were characterized as large feathers or a large head, serving for longer periods of time. The 2 final leaders will serve for a short time characterized by uproar and tribulation. When I first read about this dream, like many of you, I assumed that the 3 heads might represent the 3 branches of our federal government. But as I studied, I learned that the heads were simply leaders who served at the time approaching the end. They were called heads because they were more oppressive than the leaders represented by the feathers who preceded them. I also wondered if maybe they represented the primary 3 individuals who might serve as president during a given term: the elected president, the vice president, and even the Speaker of the House. As the end of President Trump's term approached, I kept thinking that if he was impeached and removed from office, that this might be the case. But even though he was impeached, he was not convicted, and he finished his full term, qualifying him to be referred to as a large head rather than a small one. I believe the eagle represents the United States. That much you've figured out. The feathers and the heads described in the dream represent the 19 presidents who have or will serve in the final 100 years of this nation as we know it, culminating in the year 2029. The total number of U.S. presidents, if we add on the previous 30 presidents who served from 1789 to 1929, will be 49. And the total number of complete years will be 240 years. The 19 presidents in Ezra's dream correspond to the number of kings in the ancient kingdom of Israel, and the 240 years of the ancient kings of Israel correspond to the number of years of the presidents of the United States. If the Messiah arrives at the end of the term of the 49th president and begins to rule and reign over the earth, he could be called the 50th of our leaders. And the number 50 represents the Jubilee year, the year when everybody is freed. Okay? So that's kind of, I know it's just numbers, but I kind of like those numbers. The existential crisis faced by the eagle is, I believe, the Civil War of the 1860s. The second large feather on the eagle, who served longer than any other, refers to Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was elected to 4 four-year terms as president, and whose tenure resulted in the 22nd Amendment to our Constitution, limiting future presidents to no more than 2 terms. The 2 presidents who served for short periods approaching the middle time of the dream were Presidents Kennedy and Ford, both of whom served for less than 4 years, while all the others since Hoover have served for 4 years or more. The nation and its leaders are described as ruling with oppression over the earth. While citizens of the United States do not like to think of themselves that way, we don't. We like to think of ourselves as, defending liberty and liberty and justice for all those kinds of really good things. That's the way we think of ourselves. But the facts are what they are. This country has been involved in wars in every or nearly every year since our beginning, usually against people of non-European heritage. Even the Book of Mormon indicates that the Gentiles of this nation would tread the seed of Lehi, the Native Americans or indigenous peoples, under their feet. Does that sound like it's not oppressive? It's oppressive. We have placed them on reservations, taken the land that they thought was theirs. We have enslaved people from Africa. The Marine Corps hymns singing about our fierce battles from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli gets us all excited about going to war to defend freedom. But wars have always resulted in trials and tribulation for the people involved, especially the ones that get beat, which is mostly our enemies. They got beat, and so they had trials. They were oppressed. If you don't think that war results in trial and tribulation, please read The War Prayer by Mark Twain. You can find copies of it for free online and read it. It's not a very long read, maybe 15 minutes, but it gives you an idea of what maybe the Lord is referring to when he talks about the oppression that this country has exerted over the rest of the world. This is not about politics, the politics of liberal versus conservative, or economic theories about capitalism or socialism or communism. It's not about theories of governance or the lack thereof. It's not about Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter or even All Lives Matter. This is about we as a people. This is about we as a people learning to love one another as God loves us. And so in my next video, I will talk about love. Until then, have a great day. And I hope that these dreams and these paradigms don't upset you too much. But just think about how you should live your life and the way that you should raise your family and teach your family to love one another and serve one another. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you again soon.